Very much today, Miss Kristen is going to speak about a little bit of intermittent fasting. Yes. So last time, I don't know if some of you already participated last time in our meeting, in our workshop. And we're trying to make sure that every single one of them is going to build up on the previous one. So we're going to recap what we did last time, correct? And actually, Miss Kristen will. She's going to recap exactly what we talked about last time. And now she's going to add some new information to the program, to the nutritional knowledge, what everybody should have to make sure that you understand exactly, because there are so much information out there and it's so hard to select which one could work for you, which one doesn't work for you. And we want to make sure we're going to guide you along the way every single month with a little bit more information to create a program for yourself, not what currently the fad is. And during the advertisements, I always said that you know, find something what works for you instead of following what everybody follows right now. It's very, very important because nowadays, you know, obviously because of the media, social media, and all sorts of stars are promoting all sorts of programs. And it's so hard to figure out exactly what could work for you because all of us are very unique, all of us have some issues. We have to face those issues, and we need to understand that how we can overcome those issues and create a lifestyle instead of something which is a quick fix. Okay? Very, very important. Not something what we're trying to create and like, okay, go ahead in the next 2 months, in the next 8 weeks or 16 weeks, we're going to lose this much amount of weight and then screw it, throw it away because you can't hold on to that. That's not what we're trying to teach you for. Okay? We want to make sure something what is actually good for all of you, and if you need any specific program after that, after all of these nutritional meetings, please make sure you either find me or find Miss Kristen, and therefore we can help you further along the way to make sure that you can succeed, because at the end of the day, whoever has been here, you guys know it, you guys work so hard, and I absolutely admire all of you, because whoever comes down, I can totally say that 99% of you guys are phenomenal, and you're working your butt off. Yet, at the end of the day, if your nutrition is not dialed in, it's kind of like, you know, all of your hard work is thrown out the window. Even though you're going to get stronger, your stamina is going to get better, all of your tendons and muscle tissue is going to get stronger, of course, that's terrific. But at the end of the day, if you want to get a little bit tighter, or if you want to get into that happy fat percentage range, it is very important to make sure that you dial on nutrition in. So any further note, Ms. Kristen?
Thank you. Hello. I think I recall seeing some of you from last week. My name is Kristen Riley. I am a National Association of Sports Medicine certified nutrition coach and weight loss specialist. But before I do anything else, I have to check in with cameraman Dave. Is the lighting good here, or do you want me back somewhere?
It's better where you were.
Okay,
yeah, because you're getting the light from the side.
Okay, so now
okay.
Thank you, Arnold. Thanks again for hosting these. You know, it really is about your success, and that's one of the great things about Revive is every coach here is really committed to your success. And we know, and all of us in here know, you can only do so much here and work out, and it really is about what happens at home and with the refrigerator and with the kitchen and with family and with celebrations and all those things that add up. So we don't have the PowerPoint working, but there's one slide that I will try to walk through with you. But thank you again for coming. We're going to do a small recap from the previous workshop. We won't be able to do a full recap to be able to get you out of here at some times where you go back to your family. But for those of you who were here last month, for the new ones here, just roll with it. We will be posting these up on the YouTube channel, so you'll be able to look back at them. So for recapping for last meeting, we hit on 3 main strategies for success in weight loss. And for anybody who is here, I'm going to quiz you. Do you remember? There are 3 of them. So if you remember what they were, raise your hand, share them. I'll give you the first one. It was track your food intake. It was the one that we all hate to do, but critical. So track your food intake was one of them. There were 2 more. Anybody remember? The second one was know your numbers. Take your measurements, whether it's with a measurement tape, InBody is fantastic, coordinate that with your coach. But you have to know your numbers, because in order to see your progress, in order to know when you're winning and when it's working for you, you have to know where you start. So if you don't look at those numbers, and sometimes we don't want to look at those numbers because we don't like those numbers, but you could work for a month and not feel any change, but you're going to see changes in your numbers. And that's when you're going to know if something's working or not working, which is really the bottom line for what we're doing. And then the third thing, which is another one that's very time consuming that we don't like, but Arnold still does, post it after 20-some years, meal prep and planning. It's critical because we all know come Thursday, groceries get low, the week's getting long, you're getting tired, and the last thing you want to do is figure out what you're going to cook for the next day. So having that already in your fridge, ready to pull out, meal 1, Thursday, boom, got it, done. So those were 3 strategies from last month. So let's just take a quick moment, and I want you to think about, for those who were here last month, where did you make progress in one or any of those strategies? So just think for a moment, where did you make progress in any of those strategies? If you weren't with us last month, I want you to think about what is an obstacle that you know is in your way, is in the way for you, like your biggest obstacle that's in the way for you right now with reaching your health and wellness goals. So just take a minute to think about that because then it asks you to share. So for those of you who were here last month, it's where you made progress. Track your food, did you come in and do your in-body measurements? Did you do any meal prep? For those of you who weren't here last month, it's where are you stuck? What is an obstacle that you know is in front of you for your weight loss goals? So now we get to share. So everybody, anybody who'd like to share, raise your hand if you were here last month. Yes.
My intake,
The in-body.
the body, take your measurements, take your numbers. That I did, and I did make meals, but didn't do it all month.
But progress,
Right.
fantastic, good job, good job. One small step, small
Yeah.
steps. So good job. Who else? I know you had it. Yes.
Consistency. I'll frequently make something and I'll either leave it at home or I'll bring it with me and decide that I want to get something else.
So that's one of the things that's in the way for you is the consistency, definitely. Great, thank you.
June, how are you going to do it?
Thanks for bringing that up. I'm going to go with it, the consistency. I do good. I do meal preps every Sunday, but it's still getting to that, okay, there's the food in the fridge waiting for me, and I don't feel like that. So instead of eating my well-balanced, I might grab an apple and peanut butter celery, and that would be it. So my protein intake is probably horrible.
Got it, so a little bit of this, so good job, great, thank you, Jen. All right, who else? Look at you, I'm gonna call you, Brett.
Okay, yes, I did do my little weighing and measurements, and as always, my protein is low and my fat keeps going up. I am meal prepping, and I'm finding that I'm meal prepping, but I'm not ending up eating all my food.
Okay,
So that's where my downside is.
got it.
On that note, actually, just want to put it out there very, very quickly. Then Miss Chrissy is who is supposed to send me the pictures, right? Then she is not sending me, what do I do? What do I do? Go ahead and talk, I can. Yeah, you do.
Text me.
Yes.
You already eat?
Yes. So if she misses after 3 hours, and that's why it's so important, I just wanted to quickly put it out there, that we are actually, you guys basically don't pay anything for my services. I'm just putting it out there. But when you go ahead and send me a picture, I'll notify you if I don't see anything in the next 3 hours or 4 hours, right, Ms. Kristen?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I'm offering you guys something which is ridiculous because nobody else does that. I promise you that. Okay? You go to a dietitian, $200 to pay a month, and she doesn't care when she's going to see you next month or 3 months from there. Until then, you're on your own. Okay? So it's very easy to actually go into the program, and I have you to make sure that you're going to be engaging with me constantly. So you guys have an amazing benefit here, and I really like to utilize it because together we can succeed. I promise you. All right?
I've been on his sending the photos for years.
Yes.
On and off.
On and off. That's the problem. The on and off is
On
the
and
key.
off.
That's the problem.
However, when I do send them, and I'm not sure if I'm really eating the right thing, he does send back a thumbs up or a heart, you feel great.
Right.
Okay, and when you don't, he does tell
Or you
you,
see a question.
well, you do tell me, you either not eating this or don't add this, because I may have a question, I'll add avocado to something that I should not be adding it to, and he'll say, don't put that with that combo. So you end up realizing where you're off, so then you take it for the next one.
Yeah, in addition to the accountability, it's one thing, and I don't know, so one thing we should point out is that, so as part of your nutrition plan, they're supposed to be sending pictures of every meal. So that's where, I don't know if everyone, all the people know that's like, the favorite though is when you get the raised eyebrow, it's the,
Oh, yeah.
what is that? That's the one where you said after you actually, it's too late, sorry. But anyway, so great, so tonight we're going to talk about basically another tool in the toolbox for weight loss, because like you said in the very beginning, it's about finding what works for you. Some things are going to work for one person that just do not work for the next person. So tonight, one of the tools that we're going to talk about is intermittent fasting. I'm sure you've all heard the term, but let's first take one step back and let me clarify. So fasting is when you are not taking in calories and fuel for your body. You are using your stored reserves, your stored body fat. Fasting is not a new concept. We've been fasting as human beings for generations, for religious purposes, health purposes. There are tremendous benefits to fasting. What we're going to talk about tonight is called intermittent fasting, and that's basically taking the benefits of fasting and giving you windows where you're able to eat so that you feel satisfied and you can sustain it. So we're going to work within what we're looking at is a 24-hour window in intermittent fasting. So for our purposes tonight, I'm not going to talk about long fasts. I'm not going to talk about fasting as a long term. We're talking about intermittent fasting as a tool right now for your weight loss. So with that, let's see. You know, some of it is going to come back because I don't want to be too basic, but you have to understand, so if you're feeding your body, all right, you're not burning your reserves. It's obvious. So, you know, if you're either feeding or you're fasting. So when you're feeding, you're fueling, and when you're fasting, you're using your stored reserves. So the benefit to fasting is you get that time period where you're accessing body fat and you're accessing reserves. One of the things that we do is that we eat at frequent intervals. So you're frequently feeding and you're frequently raising your insulin levels, and our body doesn't have the chance to burn off the stored fuel. So with fasting, with intermittent fasting, it's about taking and condensing your eating window to a time period that works for you and opening up a fasting window to give your body a chance to utilize stored fuel, stored reserves. So for example, when you sleep, you go to bed at night, you wake up, 8, 10 hours, you probably haven't eaten maybe 10 to 12 hours. That is a fast. You're usually hungry when you wake up in the morning. So your first meal is typically like a break the fast kind of meal, like a breakfast type meal. So the benefits to intermittent fasting is you're able to play with extending your eating, your fasting window, and keep your eating window into a time frame where you can still enjoy food, you're still taking in food, but you're getting the benefits of fasting. I'll give this analogy. My husband Steve, who's here, is going to laugh at me because I am the worst person at analogies. But I'm going to try, and I'm horrible at giving jokes. So I'm the one that they ruin the punchline by the time I even say the joke. So the analogy, and I'm trying to use this. So I want you to think of your body as the refrigerator. You put things into the refrigerator. When you're putting things into the refrigerator, nothing's coming out. So you're putting things into the refrigerator. When you stop putting items in the refrigerator, that's when you can reach in and take things out of the refrigerator. As years have progressed, we are constantly feeding, we are constantly putting things in our refrigerator. So much so that anybody who's got a full fridge knows then the stuff starts to go to the back of the fridge. Then the freezer gets full, and then you're using another freezer. So you're constantly putting things into the refrigerator but you're not allowing an opportunity to take things out. It just keeps getting pushed back. The extra storage back here would be like body fat. So you keep pushing it back here because you keep feeding, and you're never able to access the things in the back of the freezer, the things at the bottom of the freezer, the things in the back of the fridge. So with intermittent fasting, what you're doing is you're closing the fridge door, and you're allowing your body to use what you have stored as energy. So that's during your fasting period. Some advantages to a tool like intermittent fasting for weight loss. Some of them are really easy. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It is flexible. You can adjust it to your time frame. You can adjust it to your life. It's highly effective. I'm sure many of you, if you've heard of intermittent fasting, you maybe Googled it to check it out. It's even studies have shown it will reduce and even in some cases eliminate type 2 diabetes. So there's health benefits, highly effective. It saves time. If you're not eating as many meals in a day, you don't have to do as much on your meal prep times. So it saves time with things like that. So those are some of the advantages that are the quick advantages. And I don't know, how'd my refrigerator analogy go? So it's so that's something that we had to just emphasize. So the bottom line is when you're feeding, you're storing. When you're fasting, you're using reserves. And if you think like that, then it's kind of an easy way of just kind of drawing the line in the sand. I'm either feeding or I'm fasting. And from there, you ask yourself, what would a fasting model look like? Again, there are no rules here really. What works for one person is going to be different for the other person. An example would be something like, say, a 16-8. So if you hear someone say 16-8, or you see a reference to say 16-8, that means the person is fasting for 16 hours and they're eating for an 8-hour window. One meal a day, 23 hours, 1 hour. So 23 and 1, 18 6. You will be overwhelmed. One of the many times when Google overwhelms us, again, with information. But what you need to know is that there's no right or wrong to an intermittent fasting model. It's about what works for you and if you're getting the results. So, for example, if you do the, say, 16-8, one thing that you want to note is it doesn't